Hey y'all, I wanted to share a quick message with you guys. Um, and I'm going to be reading out of Exodus. But before I do that, I wanted to say this. It is crucial for us to be following what is in the Word of God. Not what we have been told what's in the Word. Like actually opening up the Word for ourselves, reading it, and following it. Let's start with the 10 Commandments. Let's start there. And it's crucial for us to be following the 10 Commandments. Because when you follow the 10 Commandments, you're drawing close to Yah. So this is Yah. This is you. So when you're following the 10 Commandments, you're drawing close to Yah, right? You're becoming more holy. You're becoming more like Christ. Or Yahushua HaMashiach. When you don't follow the commandments, you draw away from him. And when you draw away from him, it's hard for you to hear him. It's hard for you to have discernment. You strengthen your spirit by following the commandments. The reason why a lot of believers are not privy to the end times, like what's going on in the end times, what's going on in the world, and you see them kind of like moving right along with the world's agenda, is because they lack discernment. And the reason why they lack discernment is because they don't even follow the commandments. That's scary, because one thing that Yah mentions in his word is that there will be a strong delusion. Let me tell you something. The majority of the church is under that strong delusion right now as we speak. And the problem with that is that during the end times, Satan will be using signs and wonders. And because you lack discernment, you won't be able to distinguish what spirit these signs and wonders are operating from. And I wanted to read the passage in Exodus. And just to set y'all up, this was when, excuse me, y'all. This is when Yah told Moses and Aaron to go to Pharaoh and tell Pharaoh to let the Hebrews go. And a sign of his wonders would be the staff that they would throw down, and it would turn into a serpent. It would turn into a snake. So I wanted to read that passage. So Exodus 7, verse 8. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, when Pharaoh speaks to you, saying, show a miracle for yourselves, then you shall say to Aaron, take your rod and cast it before Pharaoh, and let it become a serpent. So Moses and Aaron went into Pharaoh, and they did so, just as the Lord commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh and before his servants, and it became a serpent. So before I continue, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said, show me a miracle, show me evidence. And they did just that. They threw the staff down and it became a serpent. Let's continue reading. But Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers. So the magicians of Egypt, they also did in like manner with their enchantments. For every man threw down his rod, and they became serpents. They did the same thing. Moses and Aaron threw down their rod, and it became a serpent. Pharaoh had his wise men, his sorcerers and magicians, throw down their rods, and they became serpents. They did the same thing. The power that Moses and Aaron was operating out of was from the Most High. But the power that the Egyptians were operating out of was from Satan. Why? Because the Egyptians didn't worship Yah. They worshipped Osiris, Horus, Isis, all them, all those other gods, i.e. Satan. So when you ask yourself, when you think about it and you ask yourself, what power were they operating out of if they were able to do the same thing that Moses and Aaron did? But wait, y'all. There's more. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods, and Pharaoh's heart grew hard, and he did not heed them, as the Lord has said. Moses and Aaron threw down their rod and became a serpent. Pharaoh was like, all right, bet. We're going to do the same thing. Pharaoh had his magicians throw down their rods, multiple, as in multiple snakes were created. Throw down their rods, they became snakes. They did the same thing. But then what happened? The serpent that was created from Moses and Aaron's rod swallowed up the snakes that were created from the Egyptians' rods. What does this tell us? That the power Moses and Aaron was operating out of was stronger than the power the Egyptians were operating out of, i.e., the Most High, Yah, his power was stronger than Satan's. But I want us to realize that the Egyptians did the same thing. Which brings me back to why I even made this video. Discernment, testing the spirit. I am not shocked at all when I hear people. I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised. Like when people are trying to manifest things, I'm manifesting. Because my next question is, what power are you operating out of? Because let me tell you something. Satan will give you what you want. It won't last long though, but he'll give you what you want. So when he gives you what you want, your faith, your belief is in that. But the power you're operating out of isn't from the Most High. Does that make sense? You have faith in Satan's power. But as we just read, Satan's power was defeated. The Egyptian magicians, that's a mouthful. The Egyptian magicians created multiple serpents. Moses and Aaron, they only had one. And their one defeated the multiple serpents. But it's the fact that the Egyptians did the same thing. Which makes us what's the word that I'm looking for? We need to be discerning between the spirits. We need to be discerning between the spirits, because if that's the case, if they were able to do the same thing, yeah, I'm not surprised why a lot of believers are being led astray by false teachings. They're being led astray by a different Messiah. And again, like I said before, if you're not even following the commandments, how are you drawing close to the Messiah? You're drawing away from him. And when you're drawing away from him, it makes it harder to discern between spirits. So I just wanted to share that little passage with y'all because I just thought of that and I was just like, wow, that's crazy. And when you continue reading, because this is when the plagues happen. A plague would come, like God would send the plague, and the Egyptians would do the same thing. And I think it was like the third plague where even the sorcerers went to Pharaoh and said, Pharaoh, we can't keep up. The power that the power that Moses and Aaron are operating from, like, is way powerful than us. We can't even keep up. But of course, Pharaoh hardened his heart, and he continued trying to, keep up with the plagues. But, he wasn't able to do that. But I just wanted to give that little passage to y'all. We need to be discerning between spirits, because clearly the enemy has power to create the same signs and wonders. And if you're unable to distinguish what spirit that is that sign and wonder is operating out of, then you're going to be deceived. Just like a lot of these people who claim to be believers out here. So, yep. I just wanted to share that.